Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Brandon Aiyuk demanding a trade. Can Bryce Young be the next Geno Smith? And who the heck is going to play center? But forget all that nonsense. We got a ton to talk about, but we're going to be at training camp next week, folks. Resident Culture, July 27th. Put it in your calendar for after training camp practice. That Saturday, the Come Together Saturday or Back Together Saturday. We'll be at Resident Culture doing a live podcast at 1 p.m. We'll be there a little bit earlier setting up, so come on over, drink some beer, support that restaurant and that brewery, should I say, brewery and restaurant, and hang out with the C3 Panthers Podcast. My name's Tony Dunn. It's the longest running Panthers podcast, and each and every week we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I do it with my wheel man, Cody Lack. How you doing?
Tony Dunn. Man, we always have a big show no matter what's going on, even if it's in the dead of the offseason. We're going to be talking about Dan Morgan potentially making more moves at the wide receiver position. We're going to talk some of this Adam Thielen drama that y'all touched on a little bit on Friday. And yes, you know, we're going to be doing our second annual live podcast from training camp at Resident Culture here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going to have a fantastic show tonight. And you know, there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than hanging with my boys and hanging with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. Tony Dunn, you know him, I love him. It's Brandon Malone. These ill skills. What's up, brother? Kyle, Charlotte Sports 1. Mr. Stratch, my brother. What's up, man? John B. Jenkins with that Warsaw update. Justin K. Matt Knows Nothing. Roosevelt Mongo. The real _AP. We also got Panther Pickle and our boy Anthony just in time. Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number is 252-228-5098. Call in and get your thoughts on who's going to play center. Should we trade for Brandon Aiyuk? There's even more to talk about beyond that. So, hey, we want to hear your thoughts and your opinions. Even if you can't, if you're not able to secure tickets to the training camp on Saturday, you live in Charlotte or the area, or come and hang out with us. We love to meet. We love to hang. Man, last year we met so many people in person, and meeting them in person has just continued to build that C3 Legion. I mean, Diesel Skills met in person, and now he's the brand ambassador. So we're a family, folks. Come drink a beer with us, hang out. CK, just a week away, and we're going to be hanging out in Charlotte together.
Yeah, man, it's exciting. It's something that I think we've all been just kind of itching to get to, because this is just the first step to football being back. And, again, everything we know about what we've done, we're all excited about at least the progress we've made. And so it's going to be good, but also we're going to be entering this with a bit of, of the same maybe hesitance that we were in the off season, because we were burnt so bad last year. And so this is going to be the first time we're going to see a year two Bryce that isn't going to be a complete center of attention in the camp. We'll see, man. I'm excited to see what happens, but I'm just happy to be there with you boys. I know we don't get to spend enough time together, so outside of our virtual Tuesday night meetups, but it'll be good to be able to hang out, bunk up with you, Tony, and go out on the town down in Charlotte.
Yeah, man, uptown Charlotte will be out there hanging out, slaying those streets. Tony Dunn's gonna be out. You better watch out, folks. Better watch out. I'm a stray dog. Look, is happy to be here as usual on Tuesday. CK said, look, we don't get to hang out as much as we would like to, but we're all best friends up here. hanging out on Tuesdays each and every week. We've been doing it for 11 years. Join the podcast, become a C3 super fan, smash the sub button, thumbs up, dance on that thumbs up button, keep pounding it. And that's a small way you can help the podcast. We're about to hit a momentum point. If the Panthers could just get a freaking exciting season, we have built the foundation for the C3 Legion momentum point here. We thought it was last year with the year of 20C3, was not the year of 20C3, but we had a blast in misery together on the couch. Cody, let's get into this show. Tonight's show, can Dan Morgan make more magic at wide receiver for the Panthers? And I guess the biggest news that's been floating around today is Brandon Aiyuk and the San Francisco 49ers have been unable to reach an agreement on a contract extension, and now he's saying, I want to be traded. No franchise tag for me.
No, and by the way, shout out to Mr. Stratton. Says Tony's starting to look and sound like Kenny Powers. Have you ever seen Eastbound and Down?
Yes.
That is you all day long, man.
Oh, stop.
All right, let's jump into the show, man. As Tony said, Brandon Aiyuk has officially requested a trade from the 49ers. And Tony, it seems like every year, right before the start of the season, there's always some controversy about some 49er looking to be traded. You know, last year, I believe it was Deebo Samuel. The year before, there was some talk about George Kittle, maybe, I think. Then Nick Bosa was one of them. But now Brandon Aiyuk is one of the latest to request a trade from the 49ers. Despite a recent meeting, the Niners haven't been willing to engage in negotiations since May, so Aiyuk has respectfully asked out. Right now, the Carolina Panthers, according to Vegas Sportsbook, are third in odds to land Brandon Aiyuk. Now, of course, this would also be another trade. Tony, CK, and to our great members of the chat, what say you? Is Brandon Aiyuk another pipe dream of a player the Panthers are never going to trade for? Or is this the time to pair a young quarterback with Brandon Aiyuk, who, by the way, Diana Rossini says, as for the teams who have discussed interest in Aiyuk, look at teams trying to help a young quarterback on a rookie deal. Boys, I'll be damned if that's not us.
Well, I tell you, this is, we have gotten through the draft where we didn't have a first round pick, and we were able to move into the first round. So a year ago, this seems to be really out of the question, right? And in so many ways, the real question I think is not only could the Carolina Panthers do this, but what other teams on that list have the ability? The Bills, remember we heard the Bills about trading. We saw some of those clips when they were talking about the Brian Burns trade, and we saw that through Hard Knocks, and the Bills were like, we just don't got the capital to do it. Now the Bills could really use a wide receiver now that they've lost Diggs. Yeah. And really they don't have anybody, and they're kind of doing the Josh Allen will us to victory type moment. The Chargers need a receiver bad. I don't know why the Patriots would benefit from this, is they seem like a building project. We're going to have a rookie quarterback, I guess. Maybe that would be. Well,
isn't Jacoby Brissett their starter, I think?
Oh, yeah. But they did draft a guy, too, so.
Yeah, Drake May from North Carolina.
But I would not. Look, the Steelers, interesting.
The Chargers are another good one, too, for Justin Herbert.
So I think the Chargers need a guy. The Chargers they lost all their receivers in the offseason. They lost Mike Williams. They lost Keenan Allen. The Steelers, I feel like the Steelers are trying to make a push with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I don't know how they're going to do it just yet, how they're going to work that out. But I don't think they're looking at their team as dead in the water. You give a quarterback there some talent, and you've got a good culture in the background. It seems like they continue to always be 500 and above. So that's a team. I think he would be a great fit on the Jags too.
Yeah, there's a few good options on that list, but what is the possibility that the Panthers do this? And I even said this on Twitter today. I'm almost ready for it to happen just so that we can stop hearing people complain that the Panthers got fleeced on this Brian Burns trade. Because again, man, every Tuesday night while we're sitting here doing this, they're doing the Hard Knocks where they're showing more details behind that New York trade for Burns. But
CK,
I mean,
let me
yeah,
ask
go ahead.
this to CK is how if the Panthers just say this, because I know Panther Pickle says, look, there's no way the Panthers can really pull this
Right.
off, with the cap space, the trade. Say it happened. How would the like the room, how there's a fear that I would have is you add another player there. You have Deontay Johnson, who they brought in to be, they said, telling him he's going to be the X. I think that would be upsetting to him to bring in a guy that you think is potentially, well, really a long-term solution if you're trading for him. But then how do you fill out, like, how do you get Leggett enough touches in developing him? And would that be, is Adam Thielen, secure enough on this team? How would that room work with another wideout?
Man, it just feels like it'd be too much. We've already invested so much in a wide receiver and really the receiving core as a whole. So the idea that we're going to trade and then pay Brandon Aiyuk is just such a break from the plan that they clearly have moving forward. Yeah. I don't think they're interested in giving away draft capital. They're only interested in bringing draft capital back in. If they wanted to, maintain or not, if they wanted to not have draft capital, Brian Burns would have been paid and he would still be here. Right. I don't think, similar to how I felt like the Giants overpaid, as many people want to say that that's not true. I think they overpaid for Brian Burns, not just from the draft, but also the fact that he got the contract that he did. Because of that, I would tell you, if we try to trade for Brandon Aiyuk, the trade that we had to do to get rid of, that we were able to accomplish to get rid of Burns, we're going to be paying more. And I just don't think that we're going to be coming out on top in that situation.
And Cody, I want to say, like, these wide receivers have been getting bukus of money.
Right.
Bukus. Now, we didn't want to pay Brian Burns the 27, 28, $30 million that he got. So you're talking about them bringing another player and just paying him that right out the gate. Now, again, you're trying to build a high-powered offense to excite the Carolina Panther fan base, as well as to hopefully find momentum for Bryce Young. I'm with CK here. I don't think it's a great fit for the Panthers at this point in the plan. And I don't want us to, again, fall into what happened last year, where all of a sudden we get this idea that we can win now. And so I don't know how, like, it almost, I know it's crazy that the Panthers have had no wide receiver talent at all forever, it feels like. And now I'm talking about, well, what is it? Crowded room. That's kind of bananas in its own right.
Yeah, it is. And listen, I think there's also that sense of jaded that Panther fans have, in that whenever there's a new guy to be traded for, it's almost never the Panthers that are going out and get him. But I will say, like, look, I find that there's this interesting dichotomy that happens, right? Where whenever you have a young team that's looking to prove itself, there's a part of it that seems counterintuitive to go out and get high-end players, because you can say, well, we're not there yet. We haven't proven ourselves to be there yet. Yet, on the other hand, the only way you're ever going to take that next step as a football team is if you have all the requisite talent to do so. And again, like, I know at a certain point it just becomes, well, damn, we have a lot of mouths to feed. But that's a good problem to have. Having the big bodies of Xavier Leggett and Jonathan Mingo, add that with the shiftiness and the route running and the separating ability of Deontay Johnson. Now you throw in Brandon Aiyuk to that. All of a sudden, that's a nice little wide receiver room.
Well,
now, a lot of people,
Adam Thielen, though.
Yeah, but okay, the thing is, though, is I'm not worried about Adam Thielen long term. One, we're going to talk about Adam Thielen later. Like, he already had explored the options of going to the Chiefs. And at the end of the season last year, he had sort of dropped hints about plans changing and wanting to move on. Listen, he is an older guy who isn't as much a part of our future plans as a Brandon Aiyuk would be. So I understand both sides of this argument, but man, sometimes, especially when, you're trying to prove yourself as a young rookie quarterback, having all the talent around you possible, that's how you build up that team. And that's literally what the Dolphins did for Tua Tagovailoa and what the 49ers did for Brock Purdy. They have an embarrassment of riches. And I think that's a good comparison for Bryce to Brock Purdy, who was already good at getting Brandon Aiyuk the ball.
Right. I like what Brandon Malone says here. Actually like what we have at wide receiver room, particularly if Leggett is going to be a baller, right? Which I'm hoping we finally got it. I'm hoping we finally drafted a wide receiver that turns into something better than Brandon LaFell, right? And I actually like Brandon. I dropped a lot of balls, but I think also Charlotte Sports One has a good point. He said Thielen was our best receiver last year, and he's potentially third best guy on the team at the moment. So that's interesting right now. And Thielen, we saw him. He was slow. He was slow last year. We saw him in training camp, and he looked like he was running as hard as he could.
Well, it's also he doesn't separate at the top of his routes very good. You know what I'm saying? Like when there's other guys that are able to sort of draw some of the coverage underneath, he was money for Bryce. And I think that's what they're hoping on this season, that once you get more talent on the perimeter, that it is going to open up those underneath plays for our receivers to get yards after the catch and get upfield. Again, I know I sound like a broken record with this, but the Dolphins and the 49ers have already laid out the blueprint as to what kind of offense benefits our style of quarterback. And I think Brandon Aiyuk fits that. So, Tony, I don't think it'll happen just because I know Carolina probably doesn't have the resources to make this happen right now. But let me tell you what, I would not be bitching about it if we did decide to get aggressive and go and do this. I mean, I think we have a very short window. We all know how fast those windows go. And I'm all about bringing more and more talent into the Carolinas.
Kansas City, an interesting landing place for him as they try to just continue to be a dynasty. And somehow I just feel like the Saints will get him. Somehow they'll have some voodoo money that they get somehow together. So get on the phone lines. The number's 252-228-5098. Tell us what you think about the Brandon Aiyuk trade. Anthony, C3 Ant, he says Aiyuk is different. He is elite. He is elite right here. So, all right, let's do this. Let's go to the next topic. What do we got next?
Let's do that. So another option we titled tonight, can Dan Morgan make more magic at wide receiver for the Panthers? Well, something that came out, man, there's so many wide receivers that are getting in trouble for dumb shit, man. But you can now add Jordan Addison on that list, who just recently got a DUI 2 years ago. He was the first-round draft pick for the Minnesota Vikings. And he scrubbed all of his Minnesota Vikings material from his Instagram, off of all of his social media. And on this article, it was theorized that maybe Carolina could be one of the teams that could trade for Jordan Addison. They talk about Bryce Young had a rookie season to forget, but nobody could have succeeded in his environment. And with no reliable weapons outside of the aging Adam Thielen, Young remained near or at the bottom of nearly every single passing category. Determined to make life easier for the former first overall pick, the Panthers traded for Deontay Johnson and selected wide receiver Xavier Leggett. These are good first steps, but Jordan Addison could provide some much-needed life to the passing attack. Leggett needed 5 years to break out in college, so he might need some time to adjust to life in the NFL. Jordan Addison already proved he can compete against the game's top talent, so a trade could be just what Bryce Young needs. The trio of Addison, Johnson, and Thielen won't remind anyone of the 2007 Patriots, but they will be good enough to give Young a legitimate shot to succeed. Now, Tony, CK, a good thing to bring up, I guess, in juxtaposition to Brandon Aiyuk, is that if you did trade for Jordan Addison, you would have this guy on a rookie contract for a lot cheaper of a price than a Brandon Aiyuk right now. Would you be open to this, and how possible do you think this would be?
Why the heck? Why would this even be happening? What is this? Tell me like why he scrubbed. Like, I mean, he's a rookie. And he's Justin Jefferson. What does he think before, when this was this after he got the Dewey?
Yeah, this is after his DUI. And this happened like yesterday morning or the day before. So it was like it was a fairly recent thing.
I don't understand how first the Vikings I don't think would do this at all. Like, why would they trade the player that they just picked last year who showed that he was badass already? You know, I mean, and how can you be so disgruntled as a rookie with a team right off the bat?
I don't know, but I know that they sort of have a history of this. It wouldn't be the only rookie that has ever like had issues playing with the Vikings. This happened a few years back. I forget the guy's name.
Right.
One of the receivers I think it was another receiver that they drafted too. I don't know, but I tell you what, having a guy on that kind of a contract, if it was possible, I would almost prefer trying to cultivate the younger talent on a cheaper deal.
Yeah. I mean, again, I just feel like this is one of those things that we have nothing to talk about at this point in the season. This is the don't get hurt, don't get arrested, don't do something stupid. And Jordan Addison has gotten arrested and done something stupid by causing problems within the organization, or at least I think. To me, I'm not interested in this, Cody. And it's not that I'm not. Like, I mean, yeah, of course, adding another talent, just like Aiyuk, I just don't think it's the necessary at this point. Now, if you don't believe you're going to have any chance in Deontay Johnson being a future player on this team, maybe, you know, that's something to think about. But I try not to even think about these types of things. You know,
I hear you. I mean, it's, you know, these are the fun scenarios that are presented. And again, like when all these different news stories come out about, you know, receivers going new places, inevitably because of how bad we were last year, the Panthers are going to be on that list. You know, we're number 3 in Vegas odds. We're number 3 in Vegas odds to land Brandon Aiyuk. So we're going to be at the top of all these lists if we're talking about wide receiver talent. And again, I would not be mad at it, man. I don't think it's ever an issue when you decide to surround your young players with talent that makes their life far easier, especially for a quarterback.
It seems all the way crazy that the Vikings would even be interested in something like that. You know?
Yeah, Drew Irvin said they have Sam Darnold, but again, their future is the McCarthy kid, the guy that they just moved up to draft.
Right.
So yeah, I also see how that doesn't look plausible. No.
Right. All right. Okay, what's up next on the docket?
Yeah, we have Jake Delhomme talking about how he believes that Bryce Young could have a Geno Smith type of resurgence in 2024 with Dave Canales manning the offense. Let's see what Jake Delhomme had to say.
Bryce Young could be a good quarterback in this league, but with how dreadful year one was, how do you think he's going to respond mentally to such a challenging year from a season ago?
I feel extremely confident in saying he's going to take last year and use it as a learning lesson. One thing about Bryce, and if you've been around him at all, this was the number 1 quarterback coming out of high school. This was the Heisman Trophy winner, Alabama quarterback, number 1 pick. He's seen a lot of things. He's had the spotlight on him since he was very young. He doesn't get phased too much. That's one thing about Bryce. I truly believe you're going to see what you saw with Geno Smith 2 years ago in Seattle when he had that kind of resurgence of his career under Canales. I think Baker last year. Baker did a great job. Some of my notes as I look back last year when we played Tampa is that Baker's getting the ball out quick. He's very decisive. He's getting it out quick. He's taking shots when he has to. But he was moving, he was getting rid of the football. And that's something that Dave incorporates. And I believe you're going to see that in this offense. Deontay Johnson was a huge get for us. We're going to have some more weapons for Bryce. I truly believe that. I think we're going to run the ball effectively, but I just think we're going to have more weapons.
All right. So Jake Delhomme seems to be pretty confident in what the Panthers and Bryce could do in 2024. Is it just optimism, or do you see the method to the madness that Jake is explaining?
Well, I think there's optimism. I mean, look, we've talked a lot about Bryce Young on this podcast over the last year and a half. The idea is to just because Bryce Young did not have a impressive or thrilling rookie season, the idea is to not forget why you drafted him in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And we can continue to debate whether it should have been CJ Stroud or him or whatever, but they made that decision based on some sort of factors, and he was not the number 1 overall pick because he's a bum. The question is can he thrive like he did in college and in high school at the most elite level? I do think this is why we hired Dave Canales overall, though, right? I mean, didn't he just kind of sum up why they went and got Dave Canales? Because he took a Russell Wilson or was part of his best years. He took a Geno Smith, made him comeback player of the year. He took Baker Mayfield, made him comeback player of the year. And now you're looking at him doing similar things with Bryce. So, I mean, I don't know if this is like surprising, or if isn't this just the simple logic of why you hired Dave Canales and how you hope to get Bryce Young cooking this year.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that he echoes in that clip is the better weapons that we have for Bryce. And that seems to be what matters the most and why he thinks that this is going to be a better year for him. And I do agree that when you go and get a Deontay Johnson, and that's something else that you mentioned, you go get an Xavier Leggett. Like, yes, it's a lot of new pieces, but you're putting weapons that Bryce simply didn't have last year, and explosivity that they did not have last year. I think that matters. And listen, Tony, you mentioned CJ Stroud too. I think one of the reasons why I'm also okay with the Panthers, if they wanted to, being more aggressive and continuing to add to that wide receiver room, is because the Texans did the exact same thing for CJ Stroud. They went out and got Stephon Diggs and brought him to Houston. And again, we are talking about the guy that most people considered to be the consensus number 1 overall quarterback in that draft that year. So if the Texans are going to do it after the type of year that Stroud had, to me, it's like even doubly so that we should do anything and everything in our power to get every sort of weapon possible for Bryce. I think the biggest contributing factor that will make Bryce successful has to be that offensive line. If we get better O-line play, I think a lot of what we were saying before the start of last year's season will become more true. That even if Bryce doesn't have the most seasoned wide receiver weapons, he's going to have enough time and protection to be able to distribute the ball and take care of the ball in the process. I like the upgrades that we've made. I want to see even more.
CK, we're about to do a giveaway here. We've got and donated by Strats, right?
Yes, sir, man. Shout out to our guy Strats. He was kind enough to bless us with a gift card code for those on Xbox for NCAA College Football 25.
All right, so we'll do that giveaway in 10 minutes. All right. 10 minutes. This is how the giveaway is going to go. I'm going to open it up to everybody. Usually I would do this for C3 Superfans, but since it's an Xbox code, right, I feel like then it's going to get too condensed of who's here right now and stuff like this. So if you're in the chat, all right, and you want a code to win a code from the C3 Panthers podcast for NCAA 25, right? 25 for
Yes.
Xbox. I want you to do this is you got to put hashtag C3 in the chat and pick a number between 1 and 100. All right. And what we'll do is I'll do a random number generator and the closest to the pin. Right. And what we'll do you want to do like Price is Right? You can't go over, or do we just want to we'll just go closest to the pin either way?
Yeah, I would say just closest to the pin.
Okay. So if you're interested in potentially winning a copy of NCAA College Football 25 for Xbox, let's go ahead and see your codes. We already got a 9. We got a 24. I'm going to start writing these numbers down.
Yeah, white chocolate with the 9. The real
Got a
_
98.
AP with the 24. Our man Justin C3 98.
Nice. All right.
Briar Hunt. Man, I love it. See, now you get the names that weren't even in the chat talking, and they're like, yeah, let me get some of that that NCAA action.
How about
man.
this? Is y'all better give us a thumbs up if you're putting this.
That's
the
it,
number
baby.
up
Hit
there.
that thumbs up. Hit
All right,
that
take us
like
on
and
to the next.
subscribe.
Take us on to the next topic. We got 257, so we'll have to do a coin flip there. Go ahead, take us on to the next topic as I write down all of these numbers.
Yeah, so Tony, you talked about this a little bit on the Friday free for all, which thank you for filling in for me. I hope the boys were good for you while I was
the
not
kids
around.
are good for Dad.
Good stuff. But Adam Thielen, he was doing some sort of, I guess it was like a golfing event. I don't know if it was in Charlotte or where exactly he was, but he went on to talk about how before the start of this season, he had inquired upon being a Kansas City Chiefs, but that they didn't want him. Now, Tony, when you couple this with, him sort of taking shots at the stadium, and then last year at the end of the year saying that he wanted out of Carolina, it almost feels like there's a bit of an uneasy relationship between Adam Thielen and the Panthers, to the point where I even wonder if maybe he's sort of regretting his decision to come to Carolina. Yeah, so I found the video. These were Adam Thielen's exact words about him potentially having been a Kansas City Chief.
The Chiefs this year in Carolina. Yeah. You haven't seen the schedule yet? You got?
Oh yeah, I know.
How excited are you to show that team what a real receiving core looks like?
Well, I was trying to go there and they didn't want me, so I'll have to try to show them what I got.
I wanted you so bad.
I know, yeah.
Is
No,
it too late?
it's all good.
How you playing today, man?
Good, yeah. Just trying to figure it out. Golf is tough.
So again, this is like another thing, sort of in a long line of like.
This is a nothing burger. This is a nothing burger.
Okay.
Nothing burger. I mean, look, it's first he's being asked by Kansas City Chiefs fan about that. Of course, he wanted to go to a Super Bowl team contender. They went and won the fucking Super Bowl, and then he went to Carolina, and they won 2 games. I mean, really, is he saying anything that is like? And Pickle was all about this on the podcast on Friday night. We had some great discussion on the Friday night show. It was a blessing to hang out with all of those guys. But yeah, to me, this is a nothing story. I think it's like this is, of course, he's freaking disappointed he's in Carroll. Wouldn't you be?
Yeah, and listen, having Patrick Mahomes throwing you the ball. But listen, Tony, this is also what I'm saying. Like, if we went and got a Brandon Aiyuk or, less likely, but a Jordan Addison, like, dude, I'm not worried about Adam Thielen. I don't care that he was a 1,000-yard receiver last year for the Panthers. He is a Band-Aid for Carolina. He's not going to be a part of long-term plans. I think a lot of people
was like a tourniquet for Carolina.
Yeah, and instead of training with Bryce Young, Bryce Young was out in California with Terrace Marshall Jr., Xavier Legette. There were a few guys that he was training with, and Adam Thielen wasn't out there. He was up in Minnesota catching the ball from the Vikings new quarterback, J.J. McCarthy.
When?
So, a couple weeks ago now.
Really?
He was up. Yes, you didn't see this?
No.
Oh, I can find the video and show it to you. Yeah, but Tony, this is what I'm saying. Like, there's all these like non-direct, but very kind of underhanded, almost jabs at the Panthers, and it's like he's saying a lot without saying anything at all. I feel like, but yeah, I don't know. With him talking about wanting to be out, plans changing, and then talking bad about the facilities and stuff, which was true. And I do believe that the organization kind of nudged him to do so. I'm a conspiracy theorist, no shame in my game. But I don't know. I don't love the attitude, man. He's giving off sort of like I'm better than this team kind of vibe. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know.
CK, is there anything to this story?
No, not at all.
Okay. I agree.
I don't think it is because, and I'll give you a brief reason why I don't think it is. It's every single player would like to go to Kansas City. And
yes, especially any receiver.
Right. It's not. It's if you're Adam Thielen, the one thing you're chasing is a Super Bowl, right? And if Carolina was his second, third, fourth, or even fifth pick, so be it. We got him. He's on the team, and he actually helped the team a little bit last year. At least, as you said, put a tourniquet or a Band-Aid, as you will, on the circumstances. I don't think that it's worthy of a deeper discussion outside of people just maybe reading into a few things that he said where, the one thing that, Cody, I think might be alluding to on this is what did he say? He said, we're not, or we just want different things or something along those lines. It was something about, making us think that maybe he didn't want to be here any longer or something along those lines. But nonetheless, I think it's a big nothing burger. I think Adam Thielen knows he's going to be a Carolina Panther this year. Outside of somebody trading for him, there is no value in cutting him. There's no benefit to the Panthers in cutting him. There's only downside in getting rid of him. And there's not going to be anybody willing to trade and pay a draft pick and his contract to take on his circumstances.
So, Tony, this is the clip of Adam.
He is wearing his Panthers helmet, though.
Yeah, and by the way, everybody thought this was Sam Darnold. They're like, damn, all white boys really do look alike.
Yeah.
But this sort of, we talked about this on the Free for All a couple of weeks ago. Again, it's like you can read too much into it if you want, but I don't know. Chose to train with.
He's from that area, though, and I think as Pickle is pointing out, is that he's got a series of these training facilities, sports performance training gym in Duluth and Lake Forest that he's expanded. So I'm sure his presence there has something to do with that. But yeah, it is kind of, I don't know, but I guess you see other receivers working out with other quarterbacks in the offseason sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So it's not.
Yeah, it's not rare. He's from the area. I don't know. To me, there's just a lot of like. Hence, that he isn't.
Of course, he's not. He's not happy. I mean, what a terrible. I mean, he was the greatest fear that he had happened. And he picked the money. You know what I'm saying? Is maybe he wasn't getting any interest from it, but it's like the idea that the Panthers were really building something and it was such a shit show. So I mean, I'm sure he feels duped or dumb or whatever it is for picking this. All right, guys, we've got 2 more minutes to get in on the giveaway tonight for a Xbox free gift card subscription to NCAA College Football 25. To get in the giveaway, you got to put hashtag C3 in the chat and pick a number between 1 and 100. Make sure you subscribe, consider being C3 super fan. Thank you, Strats, for your support as always, man. He came on the Friday free for all, and was asking great questions. He's always here. He's one of the fam. He's one of the fam right here. So we appreciate that. Remember, it's for Xbox, right? Hashtag C3. Just another minute or two, and we'll get to this giveaway. Let's do one more topic, and we'll do the giveaway.
So football is quickly upon us, Tony. It is very, very soon that the Carolina Panthers will indeed be reporting to training camp. In fact, we know that there's a bunch of other teams that have already reported. So Baltimore, the rookies have already reported. Yesterday, the vets came in. But Carolina, we officially start our reporting to training camp Friday, July 19th. So again, not much of a topic, but just letting everybody know football is indeed around the corner, baby. We're almost back.
I know. I think I saw. Speaking of college, NCAA college football 25 is. I heard that Patrick Mahomes brought a TV to training camp so they could play it, the team together, I guess, or something like that. So that's fun. So you guys take this as look, CK. We're gonna be football's right around the corner. Just a week from now, we're gonna be heading to Charlotte. We're gonna be there for 4 practices.
Yeah, four practices. We'll be there from Tuesday evening, and we'll be leaving to come back on Monday.
Oh, on Monday.
Tuesday. Yeah, because Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. So we
Is
have
there a
the final
Sunday
practice. There's a Saturday and then a Monday.
Oh, there is
So,
a Monday. Oh, well,
yeah.
I'm glad. I was thinking I was coming back on a Sunday.
I mean, you
All right.
can. It's not.
I know.
You know,
We'll
it's
figure it out. Hey,
yeah, it's the fourth one.
I'm looking forward to this, dude. I need this
Dude,
in my life.
I'm
Not only do I need football, I need my homies in my life.
Yes,
right
sir.
now.
And listen, man, we are so excited for the opportunity to meet a bunch of you who listen to us on the regular, who have C3 as a part of your Tuesday nights, as a part of your Friday nights, as a part of your Mondays and Thursdays on Twitter Spaces with the boys in the C3 Legion. Always going live, man. Dude, we love the interaction. If you see us, come say hey to us, man. C3 is for the fans, by the fans, man. That's what we do.
July 27th, we'll be at Resident Culture, 1 p.m. We'll be doing a live podcast. Resident Culture is in South Charlotte, right?
Yes, it is literally right by the stadium. It's South Main Street is like the next street over.
So we'll be at Resident Culture, a brewery there, brewery and barbecue. You get coffee, you could get beer, you could get barbecue, but what you're going to get is a lot of football fun as we're all hanging out after, I guess it's the Back Together, or what's the name of the Saturday practice?
It is Back Together Saturday.
All right. So you guys, we got another entry. We got a 29 in here, and then we'll do this giveaway. So we'd love to see you guys, man. We made so many great family members last year just by that one couple of days we went down there, right? I mean, we were seeing people. Pickle, you know who the biggest celebrity out of everybody? Sometimes, you know what, is like, it's not even the people that are hosting the podcast. It's part of the Legion. It's part of that Friday free-for-all. Man, he got this. That's where we came up with the "Shut the Hell Up" t-shirt. He showed up there, and people were yelling, "Shut the hell up!" out of nowhere.
C3 is famous out here, man. We are legit in this Panther community. But man,
this salesman in here. Oh, I hope we can meet salesman on that Back Together Saturday. I know he's there for almost everything, and he can tell us that, man. If you want to know about some cooking, and were those your tomahawk steaks, by the way, salesman that were on Twitter? Man, had a 1 billion degree fire going and reverse seared these tomahawk steaks. It looked like you could have been at that was like a $200 meal somewhere.
Yeah, but hey, Joey says that it's on South Bland Street, and that's actually his favorite brewery.
Oh,
so yeah, man, dude, this is a great place. They have great food. They have beer. Dude, come eat, have a good time. We're going to be doing a live podcast, and man, we might even see about maybe getting it over the speakers to let people hear it. Man, we have options, dude. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we did have a great time. I hope to see you guys all there. All right, let's do this giveaway here. All right, what I'm going to do is I got all the numbers written down here. From 9, the lowest I believe is 9, and the highest is 98. All right, so I'm going to hit this random number generator. I'm going to hit 3 times, and on the 3rd time, closest to the pin. All right, 1, 2, 3, 28. So we got a 25 is in there. We have a 27. I think 27 is winning this. 27.
Who's 27?
All right, then I got to scroll back up now and find out who had 27.
I can find it.
It wasn't that too far back either. It was after that. 69, 22.
Wait, what was the number that you pulled?
28.
28. Okay.
So somebody put in a 27, I think.
25.
Yeah.
24.
Oh, it's Carolina Logic. Here we go, right here. Boom.
Logic. Let's go. Carolina Logic, congratulations, man. You get to play college football 25 on the Xbox.
All right, what we'll need you to do is how can they get in touch with you or Strats to get this code?
Yeah, so you can message me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. If you do not have a Twitter, you can email me, CodyLack, CODYLAC @gmail.com. And I have the code. I will send it right to you. Carolina Logic. Hit me up,
All right,
man.
say that one more time. You can hit him on Twitter at Cody Lack.
At Cody Lack, CODYLAC. You can also email me, same way, CODYLAC @gmail.com.
All right.
And I can put those in the chat too.
Perfect. All right. You know what? I think we should take some calls right here. I'm sure some people want to talk about Brandon Aiyuk and some different
Let's do
things
it.
that we've already got. So let's get into the cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098. Be a part of the longest running Panthers podcast around, and I hope that this will work on the first try tonight. I didn't test it before the show.
Let's do it.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Yo, what's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday. Just wanted to call here and
too loud.
Yeah.
An Aiyuk situation.
A little louder. Start it over,
a couple
too.
times about this, like months ago. Yo, what's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday. Just wanted to call in here and talk about an Aiyuk situation. I called in a couple times about this, like months ago when it seemed like he was really going to leave. And, now he requested a trade today. Now, honestly, I don't think he gets traded. The 49ers had this issue with Deebo Samuel as well, and then they came to a contract agreement. And the whole thing is, they have so much money tied to Christian McCaffrey, Deebo, what do you call it, George Kittle, the defense. Nick Bosa, a lot of guys. So it's like, eventually, like, I just feel like they don't want to pay him such a big. These players are going to get old. They don't want to have all these contracts that they're holding on to of players that aren't going to be performing up to the money that they're giving them. So I don't think he gets traded anyways. But if he did get traded, it sucks to say this, but, as much as I want him, and, like, obviously I want him on this team, and we're third in the betting odds for him, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he'd rather go play for the Steelers or the Commanders. And I don't really know if Dan's working the phones right now, and this is something else fans got to understand, right? I see some fans on Twitter and, some homies on Twitter that I talk to, quote tweeted my tweet and said, like, he asked, like, how could you not make us a contender? I get it, y'all. Maybe the division is low-key ass, but we're low-key shit. Actually, no, we're high-key shit right now until further notice. So it's like, I just don't get this logic that, like, he's going to, all of a sudden make us a powerhouse team. Maybe we, with him, maybe we get, like, 7 wins instead of 5. It's kind of like what Tony said years ago with the Sam Darnold year that he started the whole year with Matt Rule. He was talking. I remember this clear as day. He brought up the fact that, like, yeah, maybe if we had Teddy, I think he'd be better, but to the tune of 20%, like 2 more wins. Like, I just don't, and that's a quarterback that's not very good, right? So it's like, what is an elite wide receiver going to do so much for this team right now? Yeah, it helps Bryce Young's development, and this is where the argument goes for Brandon Aiyuk. Hey, if you want to not lose in crap fashion, at least we're losing and we're putting up points. So, that's really the only argument for it. But then again, I just really don't think that he's going to come here, and I don't think Dan's working the phones. Especially, I think they want to see what Deontay's going to do because they would have to pay him a big bag if he does good. Anthony from Charlotte, give me your thoughts.
Great call.
We had one person, and I do have the 29 on the list. Tater had a 29. The number was 28. So I think we'll go with who didn't go over. Sorry. I mean, and how about this is we'll give Carolina Logic a couple of days to reach out.
Yeah. Well, Logic, I posted my that's my email and my Twitter right there. Message me at either one of those, and I'll send you the code right now, brother.
All right. And what is
so I put this up. Jawan Jennings, who is a player for the 49ers, apparently put this up when talking about Brandon Aiyuk, saying you got to be a different type of person to act like you're doing everything by yourself, knowing dang well you're not. So, man, it sounds like there's some bad blood.
Who put this up?
This is Jawan Jennings. So
who the hell is that?
This is 49ers wide receiver Jawan Jennings appearing to send a strong message to Brandon Aiyuk after his trade request today.
That's crazy. Well,
yeah, I mean, man, that is pretty crazy.
You know what? I would say this is stay out of a mofo's money.
Yeah, man, don't count
like
anyone else's
It's
pockets.
like, I'm sorry, is like in the NFL, to me, that's like the greatest sin you can do in pro sports is you have, how many times do we hear these guys say, we know it's a business. We know it's a business.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want it to be a business though, when they don't want it to be a business. So, you know what I'm saying? Is like, I mean, this is what you do if you're Brandon Aiyuk, because in 2 years, he's going to be a nobody. I mean,
but this is
nobody,
literally,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's literally your chance to do it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know how many of you have been watching Receiver on Netflix. The Receiver documentary that came out follows Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. But, you know, this was before Justin Jefferson signed his contract. He was talking about, man, going into your final year of your contract and you don't have a deal. It's like, man, you're one injury away from making millions of less dollars than you would have otherwise. So if you're these guys that are trying to get paid while you have the opportunity to do so, it does seem kind of fucked up that you would take a shot at your man when he's trying to get his bag. But to me, Tony, that also says that there's probably some other like underlying personal shit that may go into this that's more than just, hey, bro's trying to get more of a bag than he deserves, you know.
Keep my money out of your mouth.
I agree. I agree, man.
All right, let's go to John Jenkins. I think we're gonna get a football update.
Hey guys, it's John B. Jenkins back with your weekly European League of Football update with info on your favorite team in the league, the Panthers Froschlaw. The Panthers were on a bye for Week 8 of the ELF season. They spent time resting up and rehabbing from the first 7 weeks that found them sitting at 3-4 in the standings and had them sitting at third place in the Eastern Conference. There are 3 conferences in the league with the top 2 teams of each conference making the 6-team playoff. The Panthers will start the second half of the season with 6 games to go. Now, since the start of this week, Coach Cool and the gang have been prepping for the most difficult matchup yet in a rematch against the Stuttgart Surge, the team that they played in Week 2, suffering a loss of 44-34. Now, they'll be looking for revenge on a team that has done nothing but get better since we last saw them. As the second best team in the league, the Surge have arguably the best quarterback-wide receiver connection in the league, with Riley Hennessy throwing to Luis Geyer. But we happen to have the best defensive player in the league in A.J. Winters.
Courage can be contagious.
Now, remember, I talked about this guy at the beginning of the season having comparisons to Luke Kuechly. Well, A.J. was just awarded the mid-season Defensive Player of the Year honor after amassing 96 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, and 9 tackles for loss in only 7 games. Now, the Surge are tough, and they can stop the run, so our guy David Brzezowski, or Zozo as I like to call him, will likely not be a factor. Will this be the game where we really see what Matt Vitale, a.k.a. Matty Ice, has? The game plan will most assuredly include a heavy emphasis on passing, so look for receivers Adrian Marino and recent American wide receiver pickup Josiah Norwood out of Cal to get plenty of targets. And another option for Vitale will be number 21.
Was that playing?
It was.
Now, Adams is not only our dual threat option out of the backfield, but he is also a dual citizenship holder, holding citizenship in both the United States and Russia.
Nice.
Now, I'm counting on Coach Cool to continue to bring the pressure up front, allowing AJ and the other defenders to meet at the QB, as his handle says. And will the Panthers rise up to the challenge? We'll know more on Sunday. But until then, as always, keep pounding Carolina Panthers, keep pounding Panthers Froschlaw, and keep pounding C3. John B. Jenkins out.
Hämmere weiter.
Hämmere weiter.
Yeah.
So it sort of seems like
what were you
again
playing in the background?
Dude, well, I forgot
working videos or something.
No, it wasn't. Well, it kind of was, but not really. But I think that the Rushlaw Panthers have a very similar thing going with our Carolina Panthers. Is that they have really, really good football players, but they're just on a bad team. So it's like, you finally get a guy that's like finally getting his, his just due. Apparently, it's hard to do so with a Panthers team, but kudos to that guy. And I'm thinking maybe it's starting to look up.
There you go.
Rushlaw Panthers.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey, C3. It's your boy Taylor from Indy. And I'm calling in because I saw something interesting online today that the Carolina Panthers have the third best odds to pick up spacing on his name, the receiver from the 49ers.
Brandon Aiyuk.
And
he got cut off here. I think he came back for another.
Hey, what's up, C3? It's Taylor, and I'm calling because I saw something interesting online, and that was that the Carolina Panthers have the third best odds to pick up Brandon Aiyuk from the 49ers. And my question to you guys is, would you make a trade for him, or do you think that we have enough young pieces where it wouldn't be worth giving up the assets for? In my opinion, I'm pretty indifferent because I do know I want to see what the potential the young guys got that we have is. But if we do pick him up, that would give us two of the best separating wide receivers in the NFL. So we would then go from having the worst separation in our wide receiver room to being one of the teams with two of the top guys in it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. If you would make a trade, if you would decline, and if you would, what you would give up. Love the show. Love what you guys are doing, and keep pounding.
Man,
thank you.
Thank you so much for your support. Let me ask you this, Cody. Just what would it take? What do you think the trade?
That's what I was about to ask you. Like, what would it even take? Are we talking about
a future one?
I mean, I don't know if I would do a one. I'm thinking about maybe sending that 2 that we recouped.
Right. A 2 and a 4.
Yeah, like a 2 and a 4 next year. I'd be more than down for that.
I feel like what did we get for Brian Burns? Right. We got a 2 and a 5, maybe.
Yeah. Something like that.
We didn't get 2 2s. So, we
kind of did, but just not in the original deal.
Right, in the original deal. So, I mean, if it was a 2 and a 4, how about this? Let's handle it in 3 phases. 2 and a 4, is that too expensive in draft capital for Brandon Aiyuk? I don't think so. We haven't drafted any good players in 7 years. Who cares?
Right, but it's similar to the idea. I mean, it's a brand new circumstance. It's a brand new front office. So it's easy to look at it from that perspective, but I don't think that it's a fair comparison. It's similar to saying that Dan Morgan got fleeced for the Brian Burns trade when it really wasn't his fault that took place. So, I mean, I'm not going to use our failure to draft anybody against Dan Morgan when it comes to not wanting to get rid of the draft capital we have. Tell me a time when we've traded for somebody or signed somebody in the free agency that was a game changer for us too.
Well, we've never really gone out and tried to make a big splash. I can't even remember what the biggest one we'd have to think about is. But in I think that's a fair point, CK. Much like Cody always says, is just because I always like don't draft a USC wide receiver. He's like, don't judge the hat.
Don't. You're not judging the helmet. You're judging the player.
Right. But what I do think is that with Brandon Aiyuk, you're getting a known commodity. So in one sense, is you're right, and CK is right. Is just because we haven't had drafting success in the past years doesn't mean that Dan Morgan and them will automatically get it wrong. But there's less. There's with a known commodity. There's no he just had a career year last year, right? You know what I'm saying? This guy is shown to be an NFL caliber talent and ready to go. Not a developmental project, nothing like that. And whoever you're getting in a 2 and a 5 or 2 and a 4, you know, how long is it going to take for them to be Brandon Aiyuk?
Yeah.
So the trade from the capital standpoint, I mean, I think a first in this world is too expensive for any player when you're going to have to pay him, unless it's a quarterback.
But also, let's say the quiet part out loud that, you know, right now we're hoping that all the moves that we've made are good. So we hope that Bryce Young pans out. We hope Xavier Legette turns out. We hope Jonathan Brooks turns out. There's a lot of young players that we've drafted that we're really hoping turn out. The quiet part that we're not saying out loud is if these guys turn out to not be what we want them to, you're going to need those future draft picks.
Right.
And I think that's what you don't want to leave yourself in a position of, is needing a lot of young players if it doesn't work out, but putting yourself in a position where you don't have the ability to restock and refuel later on down the road. And this is sort of what we've been doing. You know, we sort of did this with Sam Darnold. We did this with Bryce Young in a way, trading up for him. So, you know, we've been sort of mortgaging our future to win right now in a lot of senses, and the Panthers haven't done so.
Well, you can't just also look at it from the perspective of the draft aspect of it, right? I get that that's the idea. Like we lose the draft picks and then we pay him, right? If you trade for him, not only do you lose the draft picks, but you also lose a player in free agency next year. So you're trading one player for 3 players, period. I mean, that's the way it's going to work. And so you can look at it from that perspective. I look at it from the perspective of there are going to be other wide receivers that are going to be available on the market next year. Maybe a T. Higgins, maybe somebody else that you could potentially go after and target that is a known commodity. We are not going to be successful this year. Trading for Brandon Aiyuk this year is irresponsible.
I like that's a great point. The other next level, second out of the 3 parts of this question is, could the Panthers, even if they decided to use the draft capital, could they afford this guy? Right now, we don't have any cap money this year. If you look ahead to next year, it's not like we have bukus and bukus. Now, there's going to be a lot of changes between this year and next year of what that cap number is going to look like. But I don't know if we can afford. I think that was part of the Brian Burns issue. It's like we just couldn't afford to sink all those assets into a singular player.
We needed
this would be a safer one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this would be a less of a risk in some ways of that monetary commitment. But you're talking $27 million a year or whatever. And I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm with CK at this. Is like, I just don't. Like, maybe next year, if Bryce Young has a good year this year, that's the year to go and do something like that. The last third part to this question is, what does that do to the wide receiver room, right? I mean, because you're only going to be able to put 3 receivers out on the field. Sometimes in these runs formations that if we're going to be run heavy, we're only going to have 2 wide receivers out there, right?
Yeah.
Now, he is a good blocking wide receiver. Good, put that in. But what's going to happen to Legette if you have Deontay Johnson and Brandon Aiyuk out there on 60% of the plays?
Also, you got to keep in mind, what if Johnson balls out and you want to pay him next year? And now you've just basically forced him to go onto the market and be able to go to another team, especially if there's a lot of ifs. I would much rather play out the plan that they have in place right now. We haven't won, as I talked about. We have been buying high and selling low for far too long. We need to continue to get. We need to find value picks. We need to find guys that are maybe later in the draft that are contributing to this team. And then once I agree with White Chocolate Espresso 100% here. we need to have a winning season before we start talking about trading picks, because when we don't have winning seasons, those picks are incredibly valuable.
My mom is trying to encourage us to continue to have this clean. She loves CK and his polished.
Hey, not just in case. She said she's proud of us all.
I know she does. So hey, Mom, love you. And
Hey, Mama Dunn.
been meaning to call you. All right. So the third part was the wide receiver room. So, I'm like the caller, he said I'm indifferent. Like, how about this? Is that if the Panthers went and did this, I wouldn't be unexcited about it. I wouldn't be like,
yeah.
I mean,
ruined our future. Ruined our future. I wouldn't be down on it. But I do think that what CK is talking about, what my bastard son Kev is talking about, those are all good points. So it does seem more unrealistic. I'm almost surprised that we're the third best. She does. She said she always mentions me to her, but she's like, CK, he never curses. He's so clean, so mannered. CK
White Talk says we heard the music playing, so no one's proud of me.
God, I love you, Kev. I love you.
I had no idea. I had no idea that shit was still going. I had the stream up in the back.
All right. Let's go to the next call. This is Myrtle Beach call here.
Hi guys, this is Steve from Myrtle Beach. How you guys all doing? Keep pounding. I have 2 points I want to make that I'd like to discuss a little bit with you guys. One's about the defense. Everybody's panicking about the defense, but the only star we really lost, I think, was Frankie Louvu. And Burns was Mr. Almost, and there's always criticism of him, but the only real good player who had a good year last year was Louvu. And if you look at this also, Shaq has come back. Hopefully he'll be healthy, and maybe we can get a whole year out of Horn. So I think we have a lot of tools to be a better team defensively. So I'm not quite as concerned. Obviously, I'd like to see more cornerback and edge rushing and stuff, but I think I don't think we're going to be terrible. We have a repeat coach in the defense. I think we'll be very good there. So that's my first point. My other point is that the draft I love, except the second round pick. I mean, the Panthers have had a history of overpaying and overdrafting running backs. When we had double trouble, they each had 1,000 yards, but I think their record that year was 7-9. So that wasn't a great deal. We had 2 big contracts we were paying. And then suddenly we have CMC who gets the big contract, and he takes up all the time and puts the team in chaos. And now we draft another guy who reminds of his product. He seems to be a little bit like CMC himself. And we're going to be in the same situation in a couple of years. Why do we do this to ourselves? We already have a guy who can't play at all, who we're stuck with for 1 more year anyway, running back. So I don't know why they're so obsessed with these running backs, because that's just not the way to do it sometimes. I think Chuba Hubbard is a good running back, and we can build around him. We don't need to get superstars. And I just think it's a waste of opportunity. It's going to put us in the same spot, because if he plays well at Brooks, then we need to pay him big money in 3 years or whatever. So then second pick is gone or overpaid. So you guys have a great day. Bye.
All right. Thanks for the call. Man. Good questions about the defense. Then I'm going to move us to this discussion that we had a little bit later in the show. I don't know, but is a lot of people, it's I guess the Brian Burns. I didn't realize Brian Burns was such a national name. Is there just nothing to talk about? Are they just looking at players leaving? Are these like writers that are just looking at players leaving and players coming and then just trying to make a take in the slowest time? But now it says Carolina Panthers edge rusher DJ Wanham named as potential bust candidate in 2024. Now, I think probably the most. Now, I guess this story is by or the quote that the story is built around is from David Kenyon of Bleacher Report. Said twice in 4 seasons with Minnesota, DJ Wanham notched 8 sacks. The upside looks good, but it also happened opposite of Danielle Hunter. Wanham doesn't have the luxury in Carolina, which generated NFL's fewest pressures in 2023 after they traded Brian Burns this offseason. Look, how many times have we heard Brian Burns wasn't good because he didn't have anybody else on the other side?
Yeah, I mean
Right.
that's been most of the time that he's been here. But also in that same sentence, what does it say about him that we traded away Brian Burns and yet we had the fewest pressures in 2023?
Yeah, on top of that. And now you did add Jadeveon Clowney. You added what is his name? Ashawn Robinson. So like that, there's I don't think that anybody in Carolina thought that Wanham was a 1-for-1 replacement for Brian Burns.
No,
I don't think any fans really believe that. I don't think the front office believed that. I just believe this is that they needed a player that has shown some talent and shown some ability to get after the quarterback that didn't cost $30 million a year.
So Broski Bear, who's in the chat, who I believe is a Chicago Bears fan, says Wanham is rated as the worst tackling defensive end of the NFL. Not joking. I don't want him.
Good line. Good line.
Yeah, but listen, I think I said this before, Tony. It seems kind of cliche, but we knew that the pass rush wasn't going to necessarily be the strong suit of our defense this year. At least no one is anticipating it to be, unless you're White Chocolate Espresso. But I think that they have a real emphasis on being able to stop the run and having a pass rush by committee. And I think that's what they want to do with DJ Wanham and Jadeveon Clowney. And a lot of their success is going to be dependent upon one another. Either that, or you're also going to have to factor in maybe DJ Johnson. Hopefully he's able to turn it on in his second year to be an actual meaningful depth piece. Also, we can't forget about Caleb Von Chason, former first-round pick. I mean, former first-round pick
in 4 years.
Well, and again, there's not a whole lot of guys on this team that have a storied defensive history, and I think that's kind of the point when they're
Clowney. But with I think even with Wanham, maybe not only is that concern existent just of how good of a player he is, but right now he's been dealing with this lingering, was it a quadricep or something like that?
Well, he had to get a surgery done.
Yeah,
and he had complications from the surgery that he had to get have reoperated on, I believe.
Okay. So I think that is just adding to the other uncertainty surrounding that situation. Really, at the end of the day, is I think that we just saw this is that the Carolina Panthers decided to invest their assets in the offseason monetarily in securing a better offensive line for Bryce Young. And then the other side of the football, they're just doing the best they can and trying to draft some players that they think have an upside. The other question was about where he mentioned the running back, the number 2. I think we might get a steal there, dude. I mean, we'll see when he comes off the injury. What's his name again? The Texas guy?
Jonathan Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks. He's a running back is one of those. Look, you've always been talking about like how running backs shouldn't get paid as much. There's just enough. There's a lot
I don't want them to. It's just that the position is devalued relative to
right. But a second-round pick is not a first-round pick investment in a running back. Right?
It's also not a cheap investment either.
No, it's a 4-year, but you could run that mug into the ground for 4 years.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I would do. I mean, I know it's cold and callous to say that, but that's kind of how I would do running backs in this league is get them young, run them into the dirt, and then get another one.
Use them up and then throw them away when you have
I know. Man, it's cold, but hey, it's a business, yo. Let's take another call.
Good evening, guys. It's Scott from Winston-Salem. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. It's stormed up here in Winston. I don't know about how Greenville and Charlotte and Virginia were, but it's pretty bad here, so I'm a little bit late listening to the podcast. But if Bryce, we were talking about earlier, Gino's resurgent, Baker's resurgency, and passing and getting the ball out of his hands. So if we can get the ball out of Bryce's hands in 3 seconds, somewhere right in that range, that means the receiver's got to be elite on the route, short routes, and then the wideouts who are going medium to long routes they have 4 seconds to be open with separation to get that ball. I just don't know how well they're going to be able to jump or out jump defenders, especially if it's underthrown. Overthrow, I'm better with an overthrow than I am an underthrow, always. If you overthrow it, more than likely, it's over the safety's head as well. But that's sort of my thought on it. If Bryce has 2.7 to get rid of the ball, and I think the calculation based on some of them speed and distance, then the receiver in the intermediate or short to intermediate has like 3.2 seconds to be open. That means making cuts with separation to get that ball. So you guys are right. Everything depends on the offensive line. But just want to know your thought about the route running, because, boys, they got to hit these cuts. They have to be open if he's getting the ball out that quick. See, that's what Geno did. See, Geno was able to get that ball out quick, but his receivers were open. They had good separation. Baker was the same way. He got the ball out quick, but then receivers are open. They made their cuts. And I know it's timing. It's always like that with the NFL, so I don't have an issue with that. But I just want to know what you thought about the receivers being open in such a short amount of time if Bryce is going to get the ball out in 2.7. Anyway, just your thoughts on it. Mine as well. And, man, I sure do hate me some Greg. Man, he's like 10 minutes from my house. Hopefully he'll get back on eventually. But anyway. All right, guys, continue with the podcast. Great as always. And keep pounding C3.
Keep pounding, man. Fantastic call. And again, I've said this, I'll say it again. I think that the offense that we're building is going to resemble a lot of what the Miami Dolphins do and a lot of what the San Francisco 49ers do. Same coaching tree. So I think when you're talking about how long it takes our receivers to separate and get open, that's why I think there is a tendency for that deep speed, right? You're getting Xavier Legette, who can run a 4.3. Say what you want about him, but Terrace Marshall, also a 4.4 guy. You have Smith Marset, a guy that can take the top off. To me, this is going to open up that underneath in the 10 to 15 yard passing range where Bryce is at his best, for Bryce to be able to dump off the ball in the middle of the field and let our guys get yards after the catch. Xavier Legette is a yards after the catch receiver. Deontay Johnson, yards after the catch receiver. Adam Thielen, yards after the catch receiver. They are building this offense where you're going to be able to get the ball to your playmakers and let them do the rest. Now, a very lazy way of explaining that is saying we're not going to ask Bryce Young to do a lot. But that really is the truth. As you're acclimating Bryce Young to the NFL, your job is to run the football at an efficient clip and give him easy routes to throw to get the ball out of his hand quickly. I think that's why Dan Morgan and his front office put such an emphasis on yards after the catch, specifically in that 10 to 15 yard range. I think that's what the Panthers are looking to do. And I think that we have a chance of being reasonably successful doing just that. I think we're built well for it.
I think that call is the very reason some people would say Brandon Aiyuk would be great on this team, or why we're excited about Deontay Johnson. Because and that's wild when you hear those numbers of how quick this is happening. 2.7 to get the ball out of your hands after the snap, 3.2 seconds to before the ball's in the air and you're a wide receiver and you've got to already be developing a route in just 3 set, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. The play's already happening most of the time. So I think that Deontay Johnson, maybe that's going to where he could thrive so much in that route running, right? I mean, because he's known for that. He's like known for being a technician, known for the separation. But that's exactly what Bryce Young was believed to be best at too. Or
yeah, absolutely.
Is like he's going to be dealing. He's going to remember David Tepper called him a point guard.
Right? Yes.
So if you have some of those assets now, and Bryce Young can have a legitimate time to be protected.
Yeah.
Right. Not legit, not like a long, like sitting back there for five seconds, but where he's able to think or look where he's getting killed, that would help him. And I think this brings up a good point. Why don't we talk about the offensive line at this point? Is right now, again, Akim Ekwonu is a focal point of discussion. How can Akim Ekwonu continue to develop as a pass protector, right?
Yeah.
And really some significant struggles last season. And I don't know if the struggles were bad. I don't know.
Very bad.
I mean, it wasn't one thing. Like, he got beat with speed, he got beat with power, he got beat with counters. His fundamentals were off. So it was so bad. I think it was bad, but it was also because you had this false belief that he had a really good rookie season, or maybe not a false belief, but a promising rookie season.
Yeah.
So it seemed like a sophomore slump. Can Dave Canales' regime revive Ekwonu's career is the question. I don't know who posed this, but an interesting question.
Yeah. And by the way, I also want to clarify to Paul Mancini, when I say 10 to 15 yards, I mean any range inside 10 to 15 yards, I think is where Bryce is going to really seek to excel at this year. And Tony, to tie this into Akim Ekwonu, I think all of these things that we're talking about also plays a part in how Icky does this year, and that we don't want to give these edge rushers a lot of time to give Icky these one-on-one matchups. At the end of this article here, he goes on to say, Dave Canales wants to run the ball. He is self-described as stubborn in his will to establish the ground game. This is good news for Akim Ekwonu as his long-term prospects in Carolina. The first-year coach is fond of Ekwonu, and the two need to develop a solid working relationship to keep their franchise quarterback upright and in one piece. And as simple as it might sound, I really do believe that just running the football is going to be a lot better for Akim Ekwonu and having him look better as a left tackle this year compared to what they were doing with him last year. They left him on an island too many times and just let man get embarrassed after embarrassment. So one of the things that I will say for Icky and for Bryce Young is that for as much as I think the Panthers want to be a yards after the catch offense, that only works as long as you're able to take that deep shot when that deep shot presents itself. Otherwise, they're going to clamp down. They're going to really be aggressive with their linebackers, bring them into the box, not allow you to get those easy dump-off passes, and that's going to open up the deep ball for potentially Bryce to be able to act upon. That means that Akim Ekwonu is going to have to be able to hold up one-on-one. If we're in a situation where we're always having to put an extra tight end on the left side, if we're always having to put a running back on the left side, that does not say good things about his ability to be a future pass protector.
Does it work? It does not work. Maybe the tight end helping, but you can't put a running back on the left side. Who hands off to the left?
I'm having to say, as a running back, you have to be able to defend both sides.
Think about like how unnatural of a movement that is for when you're a quarterback taking a snap and handing it off to your left. If you got a running back there, unless every time he's on the left, you're passing it.
Well, I mean, yeah, they'll put the running back on both sides of them if you're left or right-handed. But I mean, it just depends on where you're trying to go with the football. Yeah. What guard or tackle that's blocking for you on the play too. All that stuff matters. But again,
if you have a handicap where that is the only way you're going to be able to protect your quarterback is with,
it's a problem.
It's a problem.
And that's what we're sort of worried about. And I think that we could be in a situation where if we're running the football effectively, it could kind of mask the problems that we would have with him in pass protection. Apparently he's been training very hard this offseason, training with tackle specialists. I hope he's been able to upgrade and get a secondary maneuver, because let me tell you, all it took was a swipe maneuver last year, and Ikem Ekwonu was beat, man, dead on arrival. Shout out to Kristen Butler with a $5 love bomb. Says C3 fan, been a while, but wanted to send my love. And damn it, I'm ready for football like now. We hear you, Kristen. We're here. We're ready. Football is upon us. It is upon us.
Really great turnout. Look, this is the deadest part of the year, and it shows you how committed we have of a community that has developed. Is wait until you guys see the numbers when football's back.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And all of you guys who are here every Tuesday, every Friday, you really keep us going, right? You keep us continuing to do this, and because it sure hasn't been the winning success of the Carolina Panthers that's done it in this point. Now, continuing on with the offensive line, we got a couple of things to talk about. Look, as the Panthers did invest in this, they went out and got Robert Hunt. They went out and got Damian Lewis. Will the investments on the interior pay off, Cody? That's the next topic of the show. To me, it just makes sense. This is why I had no problem with losing Brian Burns. And I know, I'm not going to get into Brian Burns talk, but this is what you have. All we heard this last year, and actually from me too, because I wasn't a Bryce hater last year, right? I wanted to draft CJ Stroud originally, and then at the last moment, I changed to Anthony Richardson because I have a type of quarterback I love, right? But I wasn't upset with the Bryce Young pick, and I really wasn't even overall upset with his play entirely. It wasn't a good season. I was really glad he survived it. But the whole team was such a dumpster fire. But all we heard, or at least from me, what I said, and I think CK was a lot like this too, is that it's really hard to evaluate Bryce Young as a rookie in this dumpster fire of a team where the coaching staff's a mess. There's no real plan. There's each week they're changing everything. And on top of that, there's no help. There was no talent. There was no protection. And one of the things is I think a lot, my point, CK, is it was just hard to evaluate. And I think Greg Olson said this, Bryce Young properly in those circumstances, because there's so many other factors that are contributing to the difficulties beyond just his play. So I think you had to do this. And CK, hopefully adding some of these pieces at wide receiver, building this wall in front of Bryce Young gives us an opportunity to really get a better sense of what we got in him as a player this year.
No, obviously I think that it's very, I think he gets a mulligan for the rookie year, right? The problem with that is it's going to then be more on his shoulders this year, even if the situation is crappy, right? I said it before, is you've got to do with everything you can with what you've got. And even if it doesn't look like, that you have the protection that we're expecting him to have, you don't have the wide receivers, either be it through injury or maybe these guys just really aren't as good as we expect them to be. Anything like that, it's still going to be a negative mark against Bryce Young. Now, in the grand scheme of things, we could probably still argue that he's not able to be, properly evaluated if that were to happen again this year. But unfortunately, in today's NFL, it doesn't matter what your situation is. If you're not, rising to the level that's necessary, even with the bad situation that you're dealing with, unfortunately, it's, not for long league is what they call it, right?
Yep. I was just going to say that, the not for long league. Cody, who the heck is going to play center this year?
Man, right now it's anyone's guess. I do want to say that as far as the guards are concerned, this is by far my favorite additions that we made to the entire team all year. I love this the most. And Tony, you said you weren't disappointed with the Bryce pick. I was disappointed because I preferred CJ Stroud. However, I always said that there is absolutely a way for a quarterback of Bryce Young's skill set to be successful. And I have always said that the New Orleans Saints, our division rival, already provided the blueprint as to what we need to do. And that is build a dominant offensive interior. Your left guard, center, and right guard play is going to be incredibly important for the success of a shorter quarterback who's looking to play in rhythm. This is, look, if the Panthers can't get a better offensive interior after paying all the money that we did, dude, there's never going to be a good O-line for the Carolina Panthers. Like, we literally went out and spent money on the two best guard options in free agency. Like, this is what you have to do. And I think that it's, a tremendous, this is the reason why I don't call the Brian Burns trade a fleecing.
Me too.
Because all of that money that would have gone towards Brian Burns instead went into not only protecting Bryce Young on the interior, but getting him more weapons to be able to be successful. And to me,
and to learn if he's going to have it, because the clock, like CK is saying, is it doesn't matter how many excuses we got. The clock is ticking.
But this is the exact reason I'm talking about the idea of trading for Brandon Aiyuk as being a difficult thing, right? The money we would have spent on Brian Burns was going to be able to bring two more people in, which we did to protect Bryce Young. Not only that, it resulted in us having extra draft picks that we were able to trade back. We got 2 second rounders. One of them we used for Jonathan Brooks, which right now is potentially the steal of the draft if he's able to turn out to be the number one running back in this class. Listen, I think this just is a direct reflection of why it's so important that we just continue moving forward with the plan that we have in place.
I like it. Who the heck's going to play center, Cody?
So that is a good question. And a lot of people felt like out of all the things that we did in the offseason, one of the more confusing things was not making sure that we have someone at center who has a history playing that position. The person who wrote this article says Carolina has 2 options to start at center in New Orleans come September. Austin Corbett, a former Super Bowl champion who joined the Panthers as a marquee free agent signing in 2022, and my man, Brady Christensen, a highly drafted prospect Carolina drafted from BYU who flashed a real promise as a rookie before tearing his bicep in week 1 of 2023. Sounds like a fierce competition, right? It is, but the glaring red flag on both players' profile is that neither have played meaningful snaps at center at the NFL level. The 4 spots surrounding the center position are locked and loaded with quality players. Aquanu, Hunt, Lewis, and Taylor Moton, who won't be featured in any questions of the whatever, make up a very solid core. That hole in the middle is gaping. For a young quarterback like Young, a left tackle, a stud wide receiver, a sure-handed tight end, and a consistent center make up the Mount Rushmore of idealistic teammates. Look at how Jason Kelsey and Frank Ragnow have elevated the play of Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff. Center is far from a flashy position, but it matters. It definitely matters. Yeah, and listen, a lot of people felt like there were some centers available to us in round 2 of the draft that a lot of people thought that we should have drafted. I don't remember the guy's name, but the center out of Oregon was in that conversation. One of them was from Duke. There was real consideration to this, but the Panthers decided not to. They must feel like Austin Corbett jumping to center isn't as much of a transition as, say, a guard jump into a tackle position, for example. That center and guard are more closely related.
Because we saw Eflin and these guys flip all and do this crap. I mean, not that they were any good. This is is like while we think we solidified 2 important pieces at guard, we have a question mark at left tackle, we have a question mark at center, and we're just hoping Moton's got another season or 2 in him before he declines.
Yeah. What do you two think? CK, Tony, did you think Corbett's going to be the guy and he'll be healthy? Or did you think that there's a universe where Christensen wins the job at center?
I think that's 100% a possibility. I think it's 100%. I think right now, if they were to have the depth chart, they're going to put Austin Corbett at the top of it, just because he has, the amount of years that he does and experience and what have you.
He's won a Super Bowl.
I don't think that it's impossible that Brady Christensen comes down here and he's able to show that he is the better person at this. He's clearly more athletic, and I think that he's done a really stand-up job at every position that he's played on that offensive line.
Like his number's been called. When his number's been called, he's made the most.
He's not been a liability. Like, how many times we watched a game and Zavala was an issue, and Ike Mekwonu is an issue. I don't think that I can recall a scenario where I'm like, oh, that was a blub by Christensen.
I agree. How about we take another call, Cody?
Let's do it.
All right.
What's up, guys? I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. Greetings from your biggest fan. And from the calls, I can gather you're possibly only fan out here in Idaho.
Oh, nice. Biggest
I want to
Idaho
see,
fan.
freaking nothing to talk
Thank you,
about.
brother.
Who do you guys think will be the biggest return for the least amount of draft capital this year? Obviously, we're expecting some things from other people. You look at Brock Purdy and Mr. Irrelevant. He's last person picked and franchise quarterback. He's the quarterback. That'd be like, knock it out of the park. So I'm just looking at, the draft picks we have, and I think Leggett will have a decent year. I don't know. Maybe he'll have 600 yards this year in receptions like Shi Smith, right, Cody? Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Damn.
Just Wade, man, that fifth pick. I think he's gonna come in. He might not start. He might not, play a lot. But I think he's gonna add to the team a lot. That fifth pick and add something. Just wondering what you guys were thinking. Not much else to talk about. Hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday night. Happy summer to you all. Keep freaking pounding.
Was it last week? A lot of people, maybe it was on the Friday free for all, actually, is that people were real high on that Michael Barrett pick from Michigan, that 7th round, like the last pick of the draft. To me, my answer to this question is Tevin Wallace.
Agreed.
This is the guy that, look, as we just Dan Morgan picked him over the NC State guy, right? That was training with Luke Kuechly.
Yeah, the Peyton Wilson.
This guy has, and linebacker is one of those positions. If you think of, was it Devin White? There's two. What are the two linebackers from Tampa? They had.
Yeah, Devin White and the guy from LSU.
One of them was a high pick, and then the other was like a 3rd round pick.
Listen, I agree. It's either Wallace or the other thing. You tell me if this is would be considered a part of the same question. I would almost say Brooks, because we got the 2nd rounder for the next year. He's really like zero equity involved, draft equity involved in his selection. So I would say, if we're talking about from his question about which one's going to be the biggest bang for their buck when it comes to draft capital, I think it's got to be Brooks.
Yeah, because he could be a superstar.
Well, he could be a superstar, and we were able to get him after trading back to get a 2nd round the next year. So we really got his pick and next year's pick. So it's like we're at a zero-sum game. We didn't really do any draft capital except for some late picks when we traded up to pick him up.
Michael Wade said it was Shaq. I don't think it was Shaq Barrett. Isn't he the pass rusher?
Yeah, he's a pass rusher. That was
another one. They had these two linebackers anyway. And one of them was a 3rd round pick and turned out to be awesome or something. But what's your Cody? What you got on this? Who you guys like?
Is it But it was Levante David, the guy who think
Levante David was the high one, or was Devin White the high one?
No, Devin White was the high one.
Okay. I mean, he wasn't like a low pick. He could have been a 2nd round for all I know. I'm just saying, linebacker is a position that you can get some gold in the mid rounds. I feel like
he said they let Paul Mancini says they let Devin White walk in free agency too. So he's not doing more. No,
who's
but
your guy, Cody? And we'll move on.
Tell me the exact question again. The guy that
who's going to get the biggest return on the investment? Like, so, I mean, and the idea is Brock Purdy, look, you got to start quarterback with Mr. Irrelevant. So we got Leggett, we got Jonathan Brooks in the 2nd, we got Tevin Wallace, we got Jatavion Sanders, Smith Wade, Crumedy, and Michael Barrett. Who are these guys in 3 years are we going to be talking about the most, do you think?
Yeah, I really think, man, I'm going to say Jonathan Brooks. Like, my heart wants to say Xavier Leggett, but my head is saying Jonathan Brooks. Because I think that if you look at, again, like we've talked about adding Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt, dude, if we're able to get some consistent center play, we're going to have some holes for my man to pound on this offensive line. And again, if you look at what he was able to do at Texas, he is a dynamic running back, not just as a runner, but as a pass catcher as well. And knowing how Canales wants to run the football, I think Jonathan Brooks is in a perfect situation to be a very good breakout player for the Panthers in a very short amount of time.
I like it. All right. What do we got out next on the show?
So I kind of have some breaking news here. I have a whole clip that I could play, but we'd for sure get slapped because it's a 3-minute clip from Hard Knocks that's playing tonight.
Is it where it was talking about the draft with the discussion about Brian Burns?
Yeah, so this is Joe Schoen saying he was talking about his discussions with Dan Morgan about the trade. He said, I said 39. He said no. I said, if it's 39, it's just 39. If you want an extra pick, it's 47 and a 2025. Dan Morgan replied that he's waiting on the owner.
Oh, yuck.
So again, here's more of those breadcrumbs that the Teppers, and we talked about this last week in terms of
more things change.
The more they stay the same. And listen, as somebody who defended the Dan Morgan pick and who still continues to defend Dan Morgan as a GM, one of the schools of thought was, well, maybe Dan Morgan was hired just because Tepper knows he's got another yes man in the form of Dan Morgan.
Oh my God.
I'm not saying that's the truth, but that's what some people would say.
David Tepper. Is he our weakest link?
Now,
I don't know.
Kev says, yeah, he has to get the okay from him. It's not surprising.
No,
right?
I think that's surprising.
No, I don't think
like if you're if you're the GM, you shouldn't have to call the owner to make a decision.
Yeah, if you're the, and by the way, if you watch that very same Hard Knocks, it shows the Maras, Dave Mara or David, whoever the owner is of the Giants, when he comes up and talks to Joe Schoen, the GM is filling in the owner as to what they're doing. He's not asking what they have permission to do. He's telling them what they're doing and how they're deciding to act.
I think this just shows that what we thought where we were going to see David Tepper starting to take kind of a step back from meddling, right, is that this is just this. How about this? This isn't indicating that that's happening.
The argument I would, if I play devil's advocate here, the argument I would have is I can guarantee you that, and I know it's hard to put it this way, but I can guarantee you that David Tepper is going to have to sign off on getting rid of Christian McCaffrey, right? That's a guy. The reason I say that is it's not just
Or
a
Brian
matter of
Burns in this case.
right. My point is like even in this situation, when you have a face of your franchise in that moment, it's not just about the football. It's about the marketing and the money that comes along with having a guy that's recognizable. Right now, we don't have that guy. We don't have a guy that somebody's going to be like, I'm going to buy his jersey. That's who I'm going to get. Like, there's nobody you're excited about getting their jersey right now. Not saying you wouldn't buy
that.
one.
I mean, but like that, the idea that David Tepper is the guy that can recognize that more than anybody.
Right.
I mean, I guess because you're letting a guy walk, but you're not letting not trying to trade a guy under contract.
Well, you are. He's under a franchise tag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was franchise tagged, so you had him for another year regardless, and so I think that it's similar to trading for Bryce Young. You think that that wasn't going to be a conversation that Tepper wants to be involved in if they're going to be giving away the assets they did to go up and get Bryce Young? I think it's fair. I mean, he owns the team. I mean, it's okay that
he needs another hobby though. CK, he doesn't need like how can you only have one hobby?
Yeah, I'm assuming he's probably got other hobbies. I mean, to be fair, he does have he has brought different concerts.
I don't know if he does.
Music.
And he's got the soccer team as well.
I mean, didn't he
was when they sing My Own Prison on Wednesday or Tuesday? Isn't that one of those Creed songs? My Own Prison. Is that like are we in David Tepper's prison?
No. I think I can promise you. I know we want to talk about them not having to, fill in the owner of the Giants, but I can promise you every single team has this same policy. There isn't a single owner that is going to be like, all right, yeah, go ahead and trade Patrick Mahomes, and don't worry about filling me in. Different. But my point is like if it is the best player on your team, from the outside looking in, then you're going to want to have a say in what's going on.
That's a good point. Good point. All right. What's next, Cody?
Yeah. So, dude, that clip there's a part of me that almost wants to play it.
We're not playing it. Just go watch Hard Knocks.
It's very revealing, man. We
could do you know what? We should do a standalone video and talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down for that. So another article was put out that I felt would be good to react to. It's ranking the 10 greatest Carolina Panthers of all time. No, we're doing Mount Rushmores all the time.
10, right?
Yeah. So this is just sort of reacting to their list. This is by Douglas Fritz of Clutch Points. He devised his own list of top 10 players. He's got Jake Delhomme at number 10.
Okay.
John Beeson, number 9. That's a good one. Had a lot of injuries, but
he was solid for his first year. So it's kind of funny is that Thomas Davis struggled with injuries early in his career, and Beeson was healthy early in his career.
Yeah,
and then it flip-flopped. John Beeson did go on to have a successful year in New York too after Carolina.
Yeah, and he finished second in the AP Defensive Rookie of the Year voting and totaled 140 tackles.
Number 8 is Cameron Artis-Payne.
Nope.
Oh, sorry.
It is sure not. It's sure not. Number 8 is Thomas Davis, who was on the other end of that cycle that you were talking about of John Beeson. Hurt early in his career, and then his comeback. Let's be real. Thomas Davis has one of the best comebacks from an injury in all of sports. Maybe second to only Alex Smith. I mean, 3 ACL tears.
There's one other guy that did it too. Who was that running back? He played for the Bills. He had something similar. No, this is way before that. Yeah. I mean, but Thomas Davis, I think, is the first player to ever do it.
O.J. Simpson.
No, not that far.
So number 7, we got Jordan Gross, beloved best left tackle in Panthers history. Tight end Greg Olsen. Everybody knows Greg.
All right, let me do. I got to talk about this. We got to scroll back up. Can you get John Beeson and Greg Olsen's name on the same where we can see them both?
I should be able to.
Almost. No, we can't. All right. So Beeson and Olsen were both on the 2004 Miami, the U team. They're part of the 7th Floor Crew, right? So I want to assign you guys all, if you haven't heard the 7th Floor Crew rap, prepare your ear. Like it would get all these guys canceled. But there's like 10 guys that rap on this, and every time they introduce they say, "What's your name?" And then the rapper says it, and then they say, "What you do?" All right, he said, "Big B." It said, "What's your name?" "Big Beast." "What you do?" "Skeet skeet." That was big. That was John Beason's, and Greg Olson was, "What's your name?" "G Reg." "What you do?" "Get hit."
Drop my jaws and let us see my third leg. That is the coldest shit ever.
Oh,
and,
the whole rap is so. Oh man, getting muddied by the 7th Floor Crew. Oh,
did you think Greg answers questions about that now, or did you think he's like ashamed of it, like doesn't want to bring that up anymore?
I'm sure he does not want his kids to hear it. I'll tell you that much.
I'm sure he doesn't bring it up. I'm sure he didn't bring it up on his CV or whatever when he was applying for Fox's analyst role or whatever.
Like if we had ever gotten
I would be like I was 19 years old and I was at the U. Of course, I was talking to somebody about this, and they said that rap was like the least controversial thing that came out of the U. That like it's like out of all, like you want to find some crazy ass stories, that's like at the bottom of the list of crap that was going on at the U.
Oh yeah, dude.
Big Beast. What's your name?
If we ever got to interview Greg, there is that part of me that would want to be like,
I'm just gonna say, "What's up, G?
Hey man."
It's gonna call G Reg.
We might never interview another Panther again. But okay, so we got Jordan.
We came on and we said, "What's your name?" And he goes,
G-Ray.
"What you do?" Fox analyst.
That would be a dream come true. All right, so they have Greg at 6. We have Christian McCaffrey at number 5. So, that's hard to argue.
Okay.
Julius Peppers at number 4. Now you'd probably say this is too low.
Yeah, too low.
Yeah.
All right, let's see who's ahead of him. I mean, look, it's going to be Cam, Luke, and Smith.
You pretty much know. All right, take a bet. Who's number 3?
Luke.
I said Cam.
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Followed by.
They're gonna put Luke as the best player ever in Carolina.
Luke Kuechly as the best Panther player ever.
Oh.
I mean, that's not outlandish. That's not like crazy, is it?
I mean, it's slightly crazy to me because of, he did have obviously his career was incredible, but when you look at historically speaking, Steve Smith is he's got to be clearly the top person here because he's done more historic. Like Luke was a great player, but just from what we had out of Steve Smith, and even Cam Newton, he had an MVP. I know it's hard for a defensive
Steve
player.
Smith had a triple crown,
right?
Yeah, but can't you also say this, that Luke Kuechly, when he was playing, he basically had one other guy that was considered in the same tier as Luke Kuechly, and that's Bobby Wagner, the linebacker from the Seahawks. But I mean, other than that,
that Steve Smith was the second receiver in all of the NFL for that.
Yeah, probably not. Like, think about the receivers at that time, right? Marvin Harrison, Torrey Holt, Julio Jones at a certain point,
Randy Moss.
Yeah, so it's like, to me, that's why that's not necessarily crazy, because when you think about inside linebackers, like Luke Kuechly is one of the first ones that you're going to think of, regardless of age or whatever. He's one of the best defensive players, linebackers ever.
Just don't know how this is not Pep here. Sorry. All right. Speaking of Pep.
Oh, shit.
Do you got it? We tripped out on this on the Friday free for all, bro.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So on the Friday, so Julius Peppers got a gold jacket in the mail. You get a gold jacket when you go into the Hall of Fame. So they did an unboxing video, right? Do we have it, Cody?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna watch. This is Julius Peppers. And
receiving his golden jacket.
Yeah.
To be inducted
Can you move your cursor up a little bit to like right above his hand right now?
Oh, I know. yeah. So like right here.
Yeah, just leave it right there. You guys want to focus right about there in this video. All right.
Welcome to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Okay.
Cody, CK, you watching?
Yeah.
All right. Get ready to pause it too, Cody.
I'll do my best.
All right. Right.
Class of 2024, 377.
Right. Here it comes. Boom.
Right there, dude. I think it was Little Rocket.
There's two Hall of Famers in that room.
Dude,
There's two Hall of Famers in that room. Get that girl a gold jacket.
Somebody's saying I spot a Hall of Fame backside. Oh, dude.
Look at that. Woo.
Bro, yo, kudos to Julius Pep.
Hey,
is that man winning or what, dude?
The number one on the list. I don't know what does.
Oh man,
that doesn't make sense at all.
It doesn't, man, dude. It's like a shelf. Like you can set a drink down right there, dude.
You can put a whole six-pack on that.
Oh my god!
Like what I think if you were to put this into Photoshop and did generative AI, like I think you would see is it would create like alien legs.
Yeah, it's like the proportions would be all out of whack.
That's a Hall of Fame ass right there.
Oh man, congrats to Pep, brother. That man's
the real
killing the game.
The Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff.
Pep should have been number one. If that doesn't propel, you got two Hall of Famers in the same house living together. All right.
Oh my goodness. Do we have any more calls? Or we're done?
No,
on
I
calls?
think that's all. That's all.
All right, man. So let's continue on with the show. How about this, man? What is it with the Commanders? Always picking up our sloppy seconds, man. I'm telling you.
And it works so well every time, right?
Yeah.
So how about this? Fitterer joins Marty Herney, Frankie Louvu, Jeremy Chin, F.A. Obada, Demir Bird, and defensive pass game coordinator Jason Simmons as former Carolina employees now in Washington.
What the hell is Marty Herney doing there? Is he just like an advisor?
Yeah, he's not like he's like front office, not like a GM or anything.
Okay.
Really, he married a centaur.
I know.
That's funny.
All right. So okay.
I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot to say about it. Fitterer has a job again in the NFL. Dude, it's like they're just gonna continue to recycle these dudes. They'll get more opportunities later on down the road. It's like this is just what it is, man. Once you get an in, you're gonna have other ends and other opportunities.
All right. Was that about it? Do we have anything else? I think that's it.
DJ one Stephon Gilmore.
He's still waiting. This is his typical thing right here. He said he's waiting at training camp.
But he is training in Charlotte.
Oh.
And he does live here. So again, it's not weird. But free agent cornerback Stephon Gilmore with the latest on his status. This is talking to Josina Anderson on the phone. It says there are still some good corners and safeties out there like Justin Simmons and myself that are still not signed. Honestly, I'm still being patient and staying ready until teams see what they have in training camp. But you mean to tell me among 32 teams that there are 64 starting corners that are better than me? I don't think that. If teams want to win, they should sign the best players. I know I'm a starter in this league. I started games last year, but the season doesn't start until September. We got a while. And Tony, listen, he did not experience a drop-off in numbers going from the Indianapolis Colts to the Dallas Cowboys. Even though he has had injuries, his level of play has maintained consistent. So
he's got a Hall of Fame 5 o'clock shadow, though.
Dude, he's the man. And I would love to have him on the team. I think the Panthers need him right now.
Yeah, we do.
I just think that this is something that we're going to wait a little while to do. Like I said, it doesn't start until September. But I do think that between having DJ Wanham and Jadeveon Clowney, now Xavier Legette, JC Horn, all South Carolina guys, like Kev says, get that man. I don't know why he wouldn't want to come here and try and finish out what he started a few years ago as a Panther.
All right. Anything else?
The very last one, we had some news in the front office. Longtime Eagle scout Brad Obie will take over as the Panthers Midwest scout per sources. As Inside the League previously reported, Obie is a well-respected Penn State grad with experience on the college and pro side. And this is after college scout Joe Patton retired.
Yeah. And we had that other guy get fired too.
I said what?
Didn't we have a guy last week we talked about getting fired for domestic violence or something?
Yeah, that was the guy in the front office.
No.
Okay. Apparently he was kicking his wife in the hotel elevator lobby.
Kicking her?
No, I'm just kidding. That's Diddy.
Oh, that was Diddy. No Diddy. All right. Can we ice some fools up? Oh, let me look. We need to say this is don't forget on next week we're going to be at training camp all the way from Wednesday to Monday. So there's be plenty of opportunities. We can go out for lunch with a bunch of fans and stuff afterwards. We can go chill. But on July 27th at Resident Culture at 1 p.m., we're going to be doing a live podcast. And we'd love for you guys to come out. And please, if you're just there on Saturday, even if you don't go to training camp, come and hang out with us. It's really cool that if we could make an impression on these places too, as we can continue to grow the C3 Legion and the C3 family, and to have these types of events each year. And the way we do that is by showing out. So we're going to have to pump this, tell everybody you know. Let's get out there and come have a beer with me.
Hey, man, shout out to Resident Culture. They've been very accommodating to us, man. They have a great space. They have fantastic barbecue. They have craft beers. Again, it's a brewery. Dude, this is going to be an incredible time for C3 fans, for fans of the Carolina Panthers. That's Resident Culture in South End Charlotte. Come hang out with us, man. July 27th, it'll be after training camp that day. Dude, it's going to be so fun seeing the guys, seeing all the boys. Dude, we look forward to it, man. It's going to be incredible.
All right, let's ice some fools up. It's the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Cody, let's bring that cold ice.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Everyone's fair game. This is the one time we're not well, actually, we can do whatever the hell we want on our own podcast, but this is where we can step outside of football. We can step inside of football. We can call out our families. We can call out our friends. We can call out, like I have before, a 12-year-old in Oklahoma I've never met.
Yeah, man. So I'll go first. I believe I only have one, unless I have more that I don't realize yet. But shout out to the C3, the real AP, our man Aaron. He sent me this video on Facebook, icing himself up. By the way, if you don't like creepy crawlies, maybe avert your eyes.
Hey, this is for you, cuz. Dirt doppelganger spider. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Hey, this is for you, cuz. Dirt doppelganger spider.
Ice up. Like my kid.
Oh, shit.
Ice up. I love when we can ice ourselves up too. I do that.
Oh, dude.
All right.
Dude,
okay.
That was a mud dauber, I guess.
He said it was a dirt dauber holding a spider, which is, I don't know, but that was like my kids would have freaking not even been that close in the first place.
So shout out to the real AP. We appreciate you, brother. Ice up. And that's all I got.
All right, CK.
Yeah, so mine's going to be a little bit, it's going to be about me. So those who don't know, I do real estate photography. And so on Sunday evening, I was out shooting a 77-acre property and going through the woods and everything, trying to get pictures of like the creek and what have you. And I sprained my ankle. And so that was cool. And, listen, it's not that big of a deal. I've sprained my ankle enough. So I decided to go golfing tonight. And so I just got back after golfing for 4 hours and walking around on this thing. And I tell you what, I really need to ice up for sure.
Ew.
Ice up, literally.
Yeah, literally ice up, son.
All right, I've got two. And mine I don't have any videos or anything like this. I'm icing up the people. Look, when did the Trump thing happen?
Saturday.
What night was it? Saturday?
When did you mean
Saturday during the day?
No,
Yeah.
It was Sunday. It was Sunday.
All I know is I've been busy. I've had other stuff going on. I haven't been paying attention to like the world. Right. So I was like 8 hours behind on this. Right. I was like, what the hell is all this going on? My thing is I'm icing up and I have no dog in the fight. Actually, I do. I don't think we should elect Biden, because if you elect Biden, you're not electing a person that's functional. Now that doesn't mean I think you should vote for the other person either. I'm just saying, look, it's like we're not in a representative republic if the person that you vote for isn't doing it.
Isn't the person calling the shots.
Yeah, I mean, so like that's my problem there. But I have an issue with this. I've seen these posts floating around, like blaming the assassination attempt on the culture that Trump created.
It's so stupid.
I saw another one that said something like, this is a Charlotte guy that used to work at WFNZ. I don't know if he's still, his name's Jason Huber. And he said this is if MAGA people got as upset about Trump's boo-boo on his ear as school shootings, we wouldn't have and I felt like this is like, I don't give a shit if you like the person or not.
Yeah,
it's banana. An assassination attempt is fucking wild.
Well, dude, the thing is the hypocrisy. Imagine the shoe was on the other foot and it was some MAGA supporter who had shot at Biden. They would be losing their fucking mind. And this is your ice up, but just to piggyback off of it, like these times they always reveal the hypocrisy in us all. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to
change your mind up.
Yeah, like everybody says, January 6th was terrible because it's political violence and insurrection. Yet they're okay if somebody take a gun to shoot the president
and
that they don't like.
People died there.
Yeah, that's what.
But here's
my final thing. Then I'll shut up, CK. You have the floor. And again, Tony, like you, I'm not endorsing anyone. I'm proud to tell anyone I'm not voting. I'm not going to participate in this shit show. I don't feel like there's a choice on the ballot. But when you have the past 4 years where they've been telling you that Trump is literally comparable to Adolf Hitler. Like, what the fuck are you saying, stupid? No, he isn't. And you're not doing your side any favors if those are the only comparisons that you can make. If the only way you can get people to not vote for someone is to make a comparison to Hitler, like that lets you know that you have problems.
Yeah,
man. Like,
I think it's also important to understand, like Cody's 100% right. There's hypocrisy on every side of politics when it suits that side. And I think this is where it makes the most sense. So if you don't believe that there's any culpability in the left having this rhetoric or causing something like this, you're also probably somebody who believes that Donald Trump incited an insurrection by whatever he stated. And Joe Biden literally had stated, we need to put Trump in a bullseye.
In the crosshairs, in the bullseye.
In the bullseye. I mean, like, it's constantly, and multiple times you hear people say he needs to be eliminated. Not like he needs to be eliminated.
Well, and again, if you're comparing him to Hitler, if you can go back in time, and kill Hitler, you probably would and could consider it justifiable.
So
I just don't like the idea. My ice up part of this just goes to the idea that we're so callous to the opposite, to the things, to the people that we don't like, that we're to the point of excusing
assassination attempts.
Yeah,
Or
and like,
even
and I mean, I would
craziness.
say the same with the other way. Is somebody took it like is if people were saying about that, I just think that this is it's just wild. It's just fucking wild. And I don't know if when I see people say these things, almost it's like keep your mouth shut. Number one, if you got nothing to get nice to say, and number two is like, how much of an asshole are you? Like, I mean, is like, and I'm not gonna get religious, but like, you're not. If you don't like, I'm not condemning anybody. I don't know. I just think it's kind of crazy when you're like, oh, well,
yeah,
brought it on yourself. I was like,
it is. And by the way,
it's mean, dude.
Shout out to Christian Butler. Did you hear the Tenacious D thing?
Oh, dude.
So they were. By the way, I grew up loving Tenacious D,
Agreed.
right? But Jack Black, he's like a true blue Democrat, dude. Always been very political.
Black?
Well, but no, it's not even Jack Black. So his buddy is bandmate.
His last name is Gas.
Kyle Gass. They're doing a show in Australia, and he said something on stage like, "I'm disappointed that the shooter missed."
No, he goes. It was a birthday. It was his birthday, and so they brought him a cake, and he said, "Make a wish," and he said, "Don't miss next time."
And then Jack Black was like, "Oh man, I was blindsided by that. I didn't know that he was going to say it." So now they canceled their entire tour.
Yeah,
like they were on a big time tour that they were doing, and they canceled the whole fucking thing.
I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of people saying the thing. The problem is that everything is so extreme on one side or the other that people that a lot of young people look up to are saying these ridiculous things, and it's a lot of them. There's the one girl who was on Orange is the New Black. She came out before this whole thing happened saying that he needs to be killed, like going out on social media live streaming that Donald Trump needs to be taken off of this earth, essentially. And she wasn't even like, it was not even metaphorical. She was stating the thing that I'm stating.
And by the way, like,
I
literally
feel like
don't
we should feel like that about any person.
And like, but also, it's not like the three of us are like three diehard Republicans here. Either,
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, none of it, like, we're just saying, like, no one's telling you to like Trump. No one's telling you to like any of these fucking idiots. No one, no, dude. We're just saying, like, the hypocrisy is absurd.
The other thing,
like,
about
now,
it being staged. Now, I will say this about this whole stage. In some ways,
now
you're like,
everyone's a conspiracy theorist when all they used to do was shame.
oh, yeah, but there is no way in the world you let somebody take a shot that close to your head.
Oh, no, that's why there's no shot that's staged. If you believe that Trump, who cares more about himself than anybody else, is willing to put himself in that situation, you're full of. Now, if you want to have an argument about whether the Secret Service had an intentional lapse, I'm fine with hearing that. Conspiracy
that
theory.
makes sense. Is like, where is the deep state in that? But I was talking to somebody, and they were like, "Well, what if they did it?" And I was like, "Dude, I would not let you put a beer bottle on my fucking head and 20 feet over there take a shot with a fucking sniper rifle. I don't give a fuck, dude." I'm like, no.
But when Secret Service is so blatantly incompetent, and then you find out that it's the same woman that assigned Secret Service to both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So it's like everybody's like, this looks shady as fuck.
It also doesn't look great knowing that Democratic senators were actually trying to pull his Secret Service. There's only one reason you want to do that, and that's because you want him murdered. That is the only reason you would request that.
Well, just feed the MAGA train, bro.
Yeah.
You just created one of the most iconic pictures in American history.
In history, dude.
That picture is going to be around for forever now.
Dude, if Donald Trump faked all that, he deserves every bit of fucking.
You know, the
good
same thing
things
is when
that
they
he did.
arrested him. When they arrested, it's like every time they try to do something to the guy, like it, like,
Just like he comes back
it's like
stronger
his
somehow.
mugshot. It's like, oh, remember, it's like, oh, now everybody's gonna fucking vote for him.
Dude,
I saw a
everybody.
picture of him, this was crazy on Facebook. Is they put him on 50 Cent's body and hit him with Many Men.
Dude, 50 Cent did a concert, and he had that picture up in the background of Donald Trump's face on his body. Dude, have you heard the AI version? They actually have AI singing the song.
Is it Donald Trump rapping it?
Yeah, you want to hear it?
No, I'm gonna go.
I know it's definitely a good hit, dude.
I don't care.
Oh,
so this was my ice up pick though. This one right here. And I don't really have much to say other than this is don't overuse social media. Charlotte man who robbed a convenience store clerk with a gun was sentenced to more than 9 years in federal prison. The defendant posted photos on social media with the firearm he used in the crime.
Oh, dude. they literally, dude, people nowadays can't stop.
Yeah. No.
Dude, there was this rapper that just died recently named Julio Fulio. And dude,
I love his name already.
But dude, he would literally like make music videos of him at his like his ops at their grave sites and shit, like mocking them. Well, now this other rapper named Young and Ace goes and fucking kills them, and then makes a rap video of all about how he did it and when he did it. And like literally a couple hours after he dies, he releases the diss track video of him bragging about killing him.
And then a couple of hours he's in jail.
Bro, all the FBI is like, they're listening to these tracks like, yeah, these are bangers.
Bangers. Clear this case. Clearance. All right. That is the C3 Panthers podcast. Yeah. C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. 1 week away, we'll be in training camp. Come on July 27th. Help me out.
Resident
Culture. Resident Culture. Be there 1 o'clock. We'll be there a little bit earlier. Come hang with us right after practice. Just head over there, get a beer, get some barbecue, and hang with us. Cody Lack, always a pleasure. CK, always a pleasure. Cody, take us out of here.
C3 Nation, until next time, keep pounding.